What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter is still on despite the rumors, and also Mike Coppinger refutes Oscar De La Hoya. Let's talk about it right after this. All right. I get to breathe a sigh of relief. My understanding was that Errol Spence Jr. versus Shawn Porter for the WBC and IBF welterweight championship of the world, a unification fight, had been in doubt or called off. I'd heard this from several outlets, and I wanted to make sure because it didn't sound right to me. But Mike Coppinger came out on Twitter last night and verified that that fight was still on, and also that the fight was more than likely going to be on Fox pay-per-view and not Showtime. And he refuted Oscar De La Hoya because Oscar De La Hoya apparently said that Showtime must be putting out a whole lot of money on guaranteed money for Errol Spence Jr. versus Shawn Porter because we all know the pay-per-view is dead. Mighty ironic that it dies once HBO pulls the plug on you, Oscar. But so let's talk about that. Before you do though, hey man, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you can get notified when we release more videos, when we do our live streams, and all that good old stuff. All right. So Oscar De La Hoya, or should I start with Errol Spence? Let's start with Errol Spence Jr. and Shawn Porter. I did a video earlier this week where I was just amazed that there was conversations about a fight on pay-per-view for Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman on Fox pay-per-view, or excuse me, Danny Garcia versus Mikey Garcia as a pay-per-view fight. And my thought was, if Errol Spence Jr. and Shawn Porter are the winners have beaten both of those guys, why would Spence and Porter be on regular Fox or regular Showtime and the Garcia brothers fight be on pay-per-view? Because to me, it didn't make sense for me to pay for that. Because I want to see the winners fight. That's how that works, you know? That's how it works in sports. You know, if two guys fight, four guys in a tournament, the guys move on in the tournament. You pay the big money to see the guys that win. You don't pay the big money to see the guys that lost. Now, I said again, and I maintain that I don't mind at all. And this is to you Mikey Garcia fans. Mikey Garcia fans, I like the fight with Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia. I like the fight. I think the fight is a very, very good fight. I got to make sure that I say that stuff like extra loud and clear, okay? I like the Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia fight. I like it. I want them to fight. I will watch that fight. But I am not going to pay for that on pay-per-view, especially if it was the case that Errol Spence and Shawn Porter weren't. Because like I said in my video, it sets the value for me. I'm not going to buy a BMW if you sell me a BMW for $5,000, I'm not going to buy a used Toyota for 10. Okay. And just to be real clear on the analogy, the BMW is the fight between Errol Spence and Porter, and the Toyota is Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia. Because we know that they are not the best welterweights, and it's not even for a belt. It's not a unification fight. So that was my take on that. But you know how it goes when you talk too much smack, you get hit in the mouth, and I got hit in the mouth because now Errol Spence, I'm gonna probably have to pay for both. Ain't that a trip? I'm probably gonna have to pay for both Errol Spence and because I'm a boxing addict. So I'm going to buy the fight. I mean, I'm gonna buy the fight. I'm gonna want it I'm gonna want it in high definition. I'm gonna want to see it without buffering. I'm gonna do all of that stuff. So more than likely I'll get the fights. But Oscar De La Hoya's take on it, hilarious. Oscar De La Hoya has got to be, when he's talking about things relative to the PBC, one of the most is hypocritical. Is that the right way to say that? Because it may be not quite hypocritical, but I just think back to all the conversations about fights when Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mayweather Promotions was partnered with Golden Boy Promotions, and the PBC was, and that was essentially the PBC. Now, people that might not be familiar with those circumstances a couple years back, Golden Boy Promotions used to be Golden Boy East, Golden Boy West, and they partnered with Golden Boy East was Golden Boy East was Bernard Hopkins was running Golden Boy East, if I recall correctly. Golden Boy West, Shane Mosley was involved in Golden Boy West. And Oscar De La Hoya was the head, and they had all of these fighters signing fighters left, right, front, and center. Many, I think over 100 of the fighters that were with the PBC were originally with Golden Boy, like Deontay Wilder, Keith Thurman. I think Sean Porter was there at the time, but there's just a lot of fighters were with them. But Oscar De La Hoya's disdain for Floyd Mayweather Jr., no matter how many times they would partner and he would fight Golden Boy fighters, essentially building up Golden Boy, right? Building up the Canelo Alvarez fight. You know, he would constantly pick the other guy to beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. So this, to me, this conversation about pay-per-view being dead and Showtime having to pay a bunch of guaranteed money, that to me just seems like a continuation of the beef between Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, Fox, on the other hand, I did read an article earlier this weekend where an executive, I don't remember the name of the executive, but an executive was talking about their investment in a streaming service. Because, you know, we keep hearing about how, you know, everything's moving to streaming apps. But Fox said that they are dedicated to pay-per-view. And because they said that they don't see a significant return on a potential investment for them for a standalone stream. Right? Because there are two different. Streaming is just, you know, you get it on your phone, you get it on your computer, right? But there's two types of ways that you can buy an app. You can buy it standalone, which is the case with DAZN. You buy DAZN, you pay DAZN, whatever it is this month. I hear it's going up to like $29, something like that. I hope that's not true. But whatever, you pay for that, and that's what you get. You get that particular app. Then there's another way to buy streaming apps, which is bundling, where you buy it's included in a package with a lot of other streaming applications or streaming services. So, for example, Disney, who owns ESPN, is rumored, or likely, it's not a rumor because their CEO or their chief streaming guy said that it is likely that ESPN is going to be bundled with Hulu, YouTube TV, and in a package, so that when you buy Hulu, you now get ESPN Plus, and then they're going to basically hide that they'll say it drives down costs and increase consumption. Another way to look at it is like they hide the cost and you don't know you're paying for it extra. So it's kind of like the bill. It's kind of like a charge on your debit card bill that's month to month and too low for you to notice. It adds up over time. But that's what they're talking about doing with Fox. So Fox said they don't see that standalone applications really being the future for them. And they're actually think for their business model that they want to continue to do pay-per-view. For them, I'm sure I understand why that is, because similar to the way HBO was putting things on pay-per-view, it takes the cost out of their budget. So HBO, that's why HBO would put pay-per-view fights on as long as it got up to like, 100,000, whatever their break-even point was. As long as it got there, they felt like that was a success because it didn't come out of the budget that they used to do the other things that they prioritize, right? So Fox will more than likely wind up doing that. So pay-per-view is not going to die at the very least because it is a way to take the cost off out of your budget for an individual fight if fighters are willing to take the chance that they're able to sell and promote the fight. So, anyway, I find the whole thing interesting. I'm glad that the Errol Spence Jr. fight is on. I wish I hadn't flapped my lips about needing it to be on pay-per-view. Just kidding. I'll pay for the fight. But anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.